Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to look at recent sales prices for the vintage collection. It's Thursday. We've got some vintage collection. We got some vehicles, TVC 1.0, some graded items, and then I think I even included another retro collection yak face that sold recently to give you guys another data point there. Please don't mind this thumbnail. It's really terrible. I'm having issues with my YouTube thumbnail maker, so everything is all over the place. I tried my best to mix it up a little bit, but I'm looking at it now and it's like, God, what happened? What happened here? Just an absolute disaster of a thumbnail. All right, so let's take a look here. We've got some TVC 1.0 I wanted to go through. We've got the foil VC12 Darth Sidious. That one sold for $104.37. He did note a small crease and a chip there on the side. And $104.37 would be what I would pay for a mint example, not one that has some defects. But this seller usually does price theirs at the upper end of the scale. So I think if you're looking for something that's super mint, just make sure you look at the photos close and be patient for an auction, man. I mean, I'm telling you, like, some of the vintage collection right now, in auctions, there are some really good deals. I mean, the prices are significantly below the buy it now and even significantly below the fair market value. I mean, I feel like with an auction, it's really dependent upon who wants that particular item while that auction is ending. And it's a tighter time space versus doing a buy it now. And oftentimes the discounts can be like 20 or 30%, if not more. I mean, here's a perfect example. The Shock Trooper. Now, this one, in all fairness, was the Canadian example. And the seller didn't know it, all right? So the seller didn't note that it was the Canadian example, but it is. You can see the multi-language on the back as well as in the age EDOD up in the upper left. Unpunched example of the VC110 Canadian Shock Trooper. And I'm not saying it was perfect, but, you know, it had some light edge wear to the card, admittedly. But it is the Canadian example, which is a little tougher to find. That one sold for $82. And, you know, here's another example of where you got to really look at the closed listings, because this seller got, for their VC34 Jango Fett, they got $125. Well, when we talk about Power Droid, we know his items are mint, right? He's got case fresh examples just based on what I've seen from this seller over time. And he had one for $110 plus $6.95 shipping. This one sold for $125 plus $6 shipping. I mean, you're talking a 15 or so % difference in price. And some of the price differences are even more drastic when we get to some of the later vehicles. This was the Canadian C-3PO with the Boba Fett error on the offer on the front of the card. It was a punched example. That one sold for $90. He also had the Ewok Assault Catapult that sold for $90. And we do have a similar item that was graded. It's one of those 2-packs from, I think it was a Kmart exclusive also. That was an AFA example that we'll have at the end of the video. The Ewok Assault Catapult, you got like the glider and you got like the scanning crew and some of those 2-packs. So I think I've got one of those towards the end of this video. Next up was Luke Skywalker Crate. That one sold for $70. That seems to be pretty consistently in the 60s to 70s right now. But that's always one that was short packed that people just had trouble getting a hold of. So that's held its value pretty well. And the last one, I think, from Power Droid, this is Imperial Assault Tank Commander. The Tank Commander is a little tougher to find. That one has come back down in price. If you remember, for a while there, it was very expensive. I mean, it was over $100 if memory serves. But the Assault Tank Commander, that one sold from Power Droid for $70. Now, this is what I was kind of talking about at the beginning of the video of like waiting for an auction. Even for a very desirable item like the ESB packaged Toys R Us exclusive AT-AT, this one sold for $560 at auction. And we've seen in some other recent videos the ESB AT-AT go for even lower than that. I mean, we've seen some that go in the 400s before. So that one sold for $560, and then literally about the same day, another one sold for $850. And I would argue they're in pretty similar condition. And that's a pretty significant price difference. So $560 plus $42 shipping, that puts you at about $600. This one sold for $870. I mean, you're talking a 30% ish price difference for two different ESB AT-ATs that are pretty similar. I would actually make an argument that this one's probably even in better shape than this one that sold for $850. So even on something like that, I mean, I think we've seen enough data points to know that the vintage collection, unless they're like a rare factory error or something like that, like a miscard, in general, this stuff is going to continue to pop up over time on eBay, and there's no need to pay big boy prices or above fair market value. So this was the Kmart B-Wing fighter. That one sold for $160. Pretty nice example. It wasn't perfect. I mean, I've seen some better examples go for $200 to $225. This one, the box had some iffy issues, like in the corners. So that kept the price back down a little bit at $160 plus $20 shipping. Here's another data point for the Haslab Ghost, for those of you that are still thinking about picking it up. It's, this one sold for $600, but it was a local pickup only. And I've seen cheaper even on Facebook. So if you're patient, I think you can find one, around $5, maybe even sub $5. I've seen a few go sub $5. So, this one sold for $600, including all the cards and everything. Without the figures, I've seen it go for $400-ish, just for the ghosts. So again, if you're looking for it, I wouldn't pay $600. I would be patient and wait for an auction, or check out the Facebook vintage collection groups. They're big enough where they're always being sold pretty consistently, and it's much more reasonable than paying eBay prices. This same seller that we know for the Canadian stuff, he had two Canadian low grays, both of them unpunched. One of them sold for $90. The other one sold for $120. So not sure what the difference was on those, but they were both unpunched VC55 Canadian low grays with the multi-language name pill. Probably a seller you want to check out. He's got a lot of really nice Canadian stuff available. So maybe this one is yellowing a little bit more inside the blister. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why one was so much more expensive than the other. They both sold within, a day of each other. So, but anyway, if you're looking for that one on the Canadian card back, anywhere from $90 to $120. The other thing is like Darth Revan. I know I harp on him, but it's crazy the price differences. There are so many Revans selling all over the place in terms of price. The lowest I could find for this past week, this one sold for $69.77 plus $8.85 shipping. That's the cheapest I found. And the most expensive one I found was $128 plus $8 shipping. I mean, that's like double. I mean, you're talking double the sales price, and there were many, many data points, many transactions for Darth Revan that were anywhere in that price point, from anywhere from $70 to about $130 plus shipping. So, just, you got to make sure that it's not damaged and things like that. But, the price points are literally all over the map for Revan, and you just got to, be patient, set up a search on eBay, and, it'll automatically notify you each morning of any new listings. But I just can't believe the differences in prices. It's crazy. And this seller had two of them, and they both sold at $128 plus $8 shipping. Onto some graded items. We had an uncirculated 8.5 VC61 prototype armor FET. That one sold for $150 free shipping. And it was an 8.5, as some of these are that I'm going to show you that are graded, but I wanted to at least point out some graded items that sold. Here was an 8.5 vintage comic art Boba Fett. Still one of my favorites. I just love that one. I don't know what it is. The card art on that is just awesome. And this one was a Target exclusive. That one sold for $130 plus $11 shipping. We had an auction for a AFA 8.5 Sandstorm outfit Princess Leia unpunched US card. That one sold in an auction for $142.49 free shipping, which is not a terrible deal, really. I mean, we've seen some that are ungraded where you don't really know what shape it's really hard to discern an AFA 8.5 versus an AFA 9.0 looking at an ungraded item. It's a very, very minute difference. And, I see this figure very regularly sell for anywhere from $100 to $125. And you're already getting one that's already AFA graded. That's an 8.5 for basically $100 plus grading costs. So it's not a terrible price for that. Here is that Kmart 2-pack I wanted to point out. This is the Endor AT-ST Crew 2-pack special action figure set. And this was a high grade. It was a gold level 9.25 on the modern scale. And that one sold in an auction for $192.50. So pretty strong price there. And that one was free shipping. But not oftentimes you see those original TVC 1.0 2-packs or like the Ewok assault catapults, things like that. Just very rarely do you see those graded like that. And that was a 9.25 Kmart exclusive. We had an uncirculated 9.0 Hoth Rebel Soldier. This one is the reissue, I think. Yeah, VC 120 and the Hoth Rebel Soldier. Uncirculated 9.0. That one sold for $110. And this seller had 3 AFA 9.0 uncirculated R2-D2s with the Empire Strikes Back, and this one has, you know, the sensor scope kind of set up there, so that's pretty cool. This one is VC 234. I don't know why I don't even remember this one coming out. I mean, my brain is just fried. I can't keep up with all the new releases, and this one was from 2023, so I don't even remember this one coming out. That was a Walmart exclusive uncirculated 9.0. Tough to get the Walmart or the Target exclusives uncirculated, so people pay up for those. And this shows you that, because it sold for $160. 2 of them sold, 1 still available. But R2-D2 with sensor scope, Walmart exclusive. I mean, I don't remember that one at all. It was 2022. But, man, that's just, time flies. I wanted to point out this one. This is not like TVC, but I thought it was awesome. I hadn't seen this yet. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but this is one of those 3D printed kind of things that comes probably from overseas. No, this one was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So that's pretty cool. And so this seller has like the Home One briefing diorama from Return of the Jedi, where they're kind of like planning the attack on the Death Star 2. I just thought that this was a pretty cool looking setup. And it's for the 3 3/4 inch scale. And I just thought it was a really nice diorama piece for those of you that are into dioramas, but he charges $260 for that one. He's got 8 available. 2 of them have sold, but I just thought that was cool. And then finally, as I mentioned, the Yak Face Retro Collection, another one of those did sell, so I wanted to at least point it out. And this one sold in an auction for $129 plus $29 shipping. So you're talking $160 for the Retro Collection Yak Face. That one really surprised me. It's just one of those items that I did not expect to... I expected it to go the way of most Retro Collection, that it just wouldn't, you know, be worth much. But this one continues to be a very sought-after item. And $129 plus $29 shipping in an auction. 1 bid on that one. So anyway, that's really all the vintage collection items that I could find that have sold over the last week. I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to leave me a like, and I'll be back soon.